Welcome to the MAD podcast. We're talking mergers, acquisitions, and deals. And in this episode, Dave Ford, a successful business owner, is talking about how he acquired a stake in a business for just £1. I hope you enjoy this episode. I think you'll find it absolutely fascinating. Please don't forget to subscribe below, hit that notifications bell, and you'll get the latest episodes as they're released on this channel. And don't forget, please connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll speak to you soon. Enjoy the episode. Bye for now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MAD podcast. And today my guest is Dave Ford. Hello, Dave.
Morning, Sean.
Well, thanks for being our guest, and may I invite you to introduce yourself and essentially just share with us, our audience, a little bit about your background, please.
Absolutely. And firstly, Sean, thank you for having me on the podcast. Really exciting to be here. My background started in aviation as a young engineer, as an apprentice, and then I sort of worked through aviation. I travelled the world through aviation in terms of as a job. And then when I came back to where I started, I learned a lot. I progressed really quickly into sort of business leadership and learning a lot about business and the aviation business. And then went on to run several companies around the place, including an airport for the Duke of Richmond and many other businesses. So that, along with some professional coaching and things like that, is sort of how I've developed my sort of business acumen in the past. And obviously we're going to talk about some of the things we've achieved since then.
Yeah, sure. And I guess that was a common thing between us, wasn't it, when we spoke previously, is that we had this common background in aviation. You may remember I used to work for British Airways. I was cabin crew and traveling around the world. So it's nice to meet a fellow aviator, so to speak.
Yeah, it stays in your blood. It starts staying in your blood.
Yeah, it does. So you're going to share a case study with us regarding digital health business. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. I'm happy to talk about that business. Should I crack on?
Yeah, sure.
So I'm partner in the business, LVC Digital Health. We turn over. It's a small business. But it's a small business in a very exciting and vibrant sector at the moment that is going to grow, and we've got a really strong pedigree within that sector. So we're excited about the future. So we turn over around about $750,000 at the moment. But when I met my now partner Mike, he was going through he had signed up into a merger with a company, and the other company had taken both businesses, or the sort of new co, if you like, away from what was core to the business. LVC has been around for 35 years. It started in the finance sector. It's strong in the travel sector and the pharmaceutical world and healthcare, and it produces digital solutions, everything from a conference, sort of content for a conference, website, so all the basic things. The clever things are developing apps and gamification and budget impact modelers and data visualization and all these really intricate presentation of large data sets or interactions for patients or sales tools for the pharmaceuticals. But really sort of clever ways of doing it. During the merger, they lost track and lost sight and lost touch of what was core to them. And I met Mike, and he was in a pretty dark place. So we're going back probably 18 months. And he had to unpick that, so I helped him unpick his merger and bring the business out of that sort of contractual situation. And then it turned out both sides were fairly unhappy with where it was going. And then we've stripped the business back to what we think is I understanding the strengths and what the future looks, how the future will look healthiest for that business. And all this has been going on whilst we've had a pandemic, and the world has evolved and changed in front of our eyes at such a rate of knots that we've really targeted, and we've talked to previous clients, and we've sort of, there is a need for us in the pharmaceutical world. They are big budget companies with global challenges of how to engage and reach their audience, or the payers, or the CCGs, which is the NHS sort of purchasing departments, if you like. So we stripped the business back. We've looked at the strengths, and we are now rebuilding the business. We've cut away all of the brand and the travel and the things that that aren't going to be strong in the next 24 months. But equally, it's about giving the message to the market in the right way, that we are a dedicated digital health solutions company.
Sure. Yeah. So how did you find your partner, Dave?
I wrote to him. So I was looking at marketing agencies. And LVC come across as a marketing agency, and this is part of the problem, because they are two websites, and if you go on one website, you see a bottle of Grey Goose gin or Bombay Sapphire rotating in a beautiful sort of 3D motion video on your landing page. And if you find the other website, it was a medical sort of background and lots of medical examples of the case studies that we've done in the past. And we've done them for some of the biggest companies in the pharmaceutical world, all the biggest companies. But it was a mixed message. If your customers fell on the wrong website, if you've got a pharmaceutical company fall on a website that's talking about Bombay Sapphire and exotic travel, then they don't quite connect. They have to really work hard to find their way to the medical side. So that's what attracted me to the business. In talking to Mike, once we got chatting and we were able to meet back then, we quickly understood the whole ethos of actually he wanted to bring it back towards the medical and the pharmaceutical. Yeah. And interestingly, bear in mind, let's go back to my background, aviation predominantly. Where's the connection? How do I bring qualities to a business that's appealing to the healthcare professional and the top of the tree, let's say, in profession? And it was a few ideas I shared during the conversations we had, and this is how I suppose I like to work. When I look at a target company or a prospect, I always look at what I can bring to it, and if I feel that there's strengths I can bring from my experience elsewhere that's unique to this sector, that can be a real strength, because it will push that sector, and it will create new ways of marketing, or new ways of connecting with clients, or new ways of running your business and the process that I've brought to the business. And I just shared a few ideas, and a couple of them really stuck with Mike. And Mike's strengths are around, he's a really creative designer, really strong with the client and the customer in terms of solutionizing ideas. So he's like the creative hub of the business at the moment. So
Deb, if he's the creative side, what was it that you brought to the table? Was it more strategy and business, would you say?
It's definitely the long-term view. So Mike is very, very what's happening in front of him. I'm very much where we need to get to, and how do we break that down into steps. And think, I identified things that for me were quite obvious. For Mike, he'd never really considered it, but around how the industries you're appealing to will look at you as a business. So if they're just looking at the business and it's just Mike, there's no medical background, there's no other than a bit of experience, it doesn't look professionally medical. So we are building a board of specialist advisors that will benefit from working with us in terms of their career and promoting themselves in the digital health world or the pharmaceutical world. But equally, they will give us the image that we are we've got a lot of professional people, and because we have, and they also join in on projects where their specialism is relevant.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you're building what often is referred to as like a power team, and you're bringing in that skill and that experience and knowledge, which is great. So, so what kind of arrangement do you have with the business owner? Are you able to share that with us? Or how did you structure the deal between the two of you?
So it was, from where he was at the time, the business wasn't in a great place. So it was a £1 transaction for a stake in the business that will grow to 50% probably in the next, depending on, we put some success criteria in place. So depending on where we hit, when we hit those successful triggers, that will release extra equity to get me up to the 50%. And we sort of kept it fairly relaxed in that I was going to help. I'm not working in the business and things like that. And I've probably been a bit more involved over time than either of us envisaged. And that's led to me invoicing a sort of monthly management fee just to cover the time. And I'm a little bit like that. When I get involved with a project, the things it's very much for me, it's about the people I'm gonna be involved with, and it's about the project, and I will put myself into it. So I'm at the moment, I'm not, I suppose, one of the guys that will offer some advice, and you won't see me for 3 months, and I'll come back and bang the table because it's not where I thought it would be. I very much want to be involved in shaping the future of that business. And this goes back to where I said at the beginning, I always look to try and, can I put a bit of myself into this business? Do I bring something to the table? And I think that's really important for investors to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. So what value can you bring as an investor that's going to help this business grow and scale and become more profitable? Yeah. So in summary, you have, with this deal, you're in with a nominal fee, £1 down. You are helping to grow the business. You are increasing your shareholder stake as the business grows, and you're taking the monthly management fee as well. So I mean, it sounds like a great deal for both of you, to be fair. And I think a lot of business investors listening to this will say, wow, that is amazing. They probably didn't even appreciate that opportunities like this exist. So let me ask you a question, Dave. How many business business opportunities did you look at before you found this one?
That's a good question. This one for me, how many did I look at? It's what level of looking at, I suppose. There's an awful lot of, I suppose, some of us will use a credit searching engine, if you like, and I will look at. I'll spend a bit of time on that each month, generating a few lists of business areas that I think will be interesting going forward, and. I guess easily I would have had half a dozen to 10 sort of good conversations with people, kissed a few frogs on the way, and and I'll come on to some of that when we talk about lessons learned. But ultimately, when we go back to LVC, just to touch on the point you made, that it seems a good deal for both of us. For Mike, he's at the latter stage of his career, and I tend to look at, one of my search criteria is for directors that are at, that are in and around their 60s. A lovely couple I'm talking to at the moment about a joinery company. They're in their 70s, and I find that I have better quality conversations with people because they are experienced enough and comfortable enough in knowing their business and knowing what they want to make decisions around. Do they want to hand their business to someone? Do they trust who they're going to hand it to? Has this person got ideas that they haven't really got the energy for, but they love that business because they've had it for 40 years and they really want to see it, the legacy continue. And I like to work with people through the deal in that respect. Even if they walk away at a point in the not too distant future, I always feel it's a sort of joint venture up until the point where they, if they're retiring, let's help them get what they want for retirement, and let's help them enjoy a legacy. So they're not, there's no anxiety, there's no stress for them.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a collaboration, isn't it? So how do you structure their exit then? Do you want them to work there for, say, 2-3 year period, or how does those conversations go with your more mature prospects and clients?
I think it depends on how well they've prepared for their exit. So if they are crucial to everything that goes on in the business, whether it be their network and their connections, or their technical knowledge, or they just held on to all the decisions within the business from a day-to-day basis, that can be quite hard to unpick. So I would look for a more of a wind down than a walk out the door. There might be a joint. Me and Mike have got a plan that we'll probably sell the business. Either he'll sell me his half of the business, or we'll sell the business together, and it'll be a 7-figure sale, and we'll both make a capital event. Or I might be so into the business by then that I look to buy it off of him. And it's that's what I'm looking for. That's what Mike's looking for. But he also doesn't want to walk away and just walk out the door. So there's a handover there. But what we've got to do in the meantime is make sure that Mike's got that choice. He's got the option to walk away, or he's got the option to stay part-time, consultancy, whatever. And a lot of businesses haven't done that work in the lead up to a conversation, which is just something you need to be really aware of, because if they walk out the door and the business in 6 months' time can't fund the sale anymore, or it can't, or the purchase, sorry, or it can't, it just goes with the wrong direction, everyone's going to come out of that, with muddy hands, really.
Yeah, for sure. So what's the bigger plan for your business now, would you say? What are you looking for as you move forward?
So my company is called Big Cat Capital, and that's going to become a hub, if you like, of really unique services. So when I was working for more corporate companies, I worked with some smaller companies, and I really envied the SME sector, which is why I've gravitated towards it. There's lots of money and benefits of the larger corporate world, but my preference is being able to wrap your arms around a business to the extent where your suppliers, and your customers, and your staff, and you can affect change in a more rapid, more energized way. And I want to help SME companies do that. So I've got a few partners. One's a leadership coach and these aren't equity partners, these are just partners that are working with me on certain products. She was an ex-Olympic rower, and she's now a leadership coach, and she's worked in the in sort of the medical environment, and she's a really clever, in tune with people leadership coach. And I've got another couple of guys who are, they work in what you could sort of call business intelligence or business insight, where they're really clever at analysing a business's opportunities, a business competitors, the environment they're working in, how it's going to change, where the opportunities lie for a company. So we're offering some really unique services that will help SME businesses that SME businesses that might be looking to develop a strategy to grow, for example. They're not looking to sell. They don't want to talk to me about necessarily mergers and acquisitions in terms of letting their business go. They want to grow. So I want to create a service that helps, or a hub that helps businesses do that and access really high-end, expensive solutions at a reasonable, sensible price for the SME market. And this will also generate leads, because we'll come across companies that are in need of investment or in need of or looking for to exit and so on. So it will be a lead generation tool as well, but that's the plan for Big Cat Capital, and we're making some great strides and doing some great things for clients at the moment. So that's I suppose my baby.
Okay, so what if there's listeners here that were looking to bring you opportunities? What kind of things would you like to see on your desk?
I suppose we're all looking forward at what's gonna land well. I suppose when the world is moving about again. I look to my passions, I suppose, and where I think, like I said earlier, where I think I can have an impact. I really like the travel sector and you know, probably more the adventure travel sector, the bespoke holidays, the higher end market. I like to target higher end markets personally. I'm doing it with the joinery company I'm looking at. And so, yeah, the travel sector would definitely be one. This carpentry joinery sector, you know, I've got quite excited about where that's going to go, and I've been looking at other opportunities to bolt onto that. Yeah, you know, I'm fairly open, so I always look to, you know, I would always be honest with someone. If I don't see me adding value to something, I'm not going to put myself in a situation of somebody relying on me to do that when I'm going to let them down. So other people might see qualities in my experience. I'm generally really open. You know, if you look at my portfolio already, I've got, you know, market intelligence and leadership coaching and things. I've got digital health and pharmaceuticals, and I've got I'm looking at a joinery and carpentry company. So all things that are connected to my past in some way or another, or where I think I can add value.
Yeah, you mentioned, and of course, aviation. You know, some airlines.
Absolutely.
Out there.
Yes, the aviation world is it will recover. It will recover. You know, I was sat in conferences only a few years ago, and all the talk was about growth and how the third runway at Heathrow was going to generate so much more traffic, and you know, it was all vibrant and positive. That need isn't going to go away. It's going to change. You know, technology has already changed it. The need for traveling to conferences will be looked at differently. It's not to say it's going away. I don't think they'll go away. I think you'll have a lot of hybrid conferences where people can tune in online and they can come and attend. And I think, yeah, aviation and the services around aviation I find quite interesting. You know, around airports, there's some really good businesses that service aviation as much as the airlines themselves are a big business.
Yeah. Now, yeah, we're coming towards the end of the podcast, but I wanted to ask you, knowing what you know now, is there anything that you would do differently, you know, from your time in mergers and acquisitions? Maybe something you do better or do more of?
Yeah, I think if there's a couple of lessons I can share, it's there's one around sometimes spending a bit too much time looking at a deal before it's matured. Evaluation is something you can spend an inordinate amount of time on, and you always want a bit more information, and you always want to dig a bit deeper. And you can get to a stage where you're just going around in circles, and you either can't attach a number to it, and you can waste hours into days into weeks on, or I say waste, you can spend hours into days into weeks on a particular detail like evaluation. And I think I've done that in the past to the nth degree on a deal that didn't even happen. And that's where I kicked myself, that I didn't just listen more to what the owner was talking about and maybe have the conversation. And my gut feeling deep down was he probably wasn't going to make a deal. And I gave some idea in that situation. I gave some ideas to him around how to grow the business and maybe franchise the business. But he actually decided he quite liked the idea, and he actually took away to try and do himself. I don't think he was capable of doing it himself. there's people that are specialists in that I would talk to and I would bring in to help me do it. You know, I think it's know your strengths and know your weaknesses. But I would say, you know, be careful of what time you spend at that stage of a deal before you know it's going to happen, and probably be a little bit careful in what you share in terms of how you're going to have a positive impact on the business, because they might like the idea of those numbers themselves.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you know, with the best will in the world, you can only do so much due diligence and still not find the information that you want.
Yeah, there'll always be a few surprises.
Yeah, exactly. There'll always be surprises. Okay, well, thank you very much, Dave. It's been great. You've been a guest on the MAD podcast. So how can our listeners get hold of you?
LinkedIn is an obvious one. Dave Ford. Put in Dave Ford Investor. I'm sure you'll find me soon enough. Based down in Portsmouth. My website is bigcat.capital, and you can contact me through the website as well, or you can email me directly. I'm sure it'll be in the sort of show notes, but dave.b.ford@pm.me. Any way you like, really.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot. Thanks again, Dave. I appreciate it, and yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Sean.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Dave Ford, and I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more from Dave in the very near future with more deals. Now, please don't forget to subscribe below, hit that notifications bell, and you'll get the latest videos as they are released. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to see you over there. And just a reminder, in our next episode, episode number 9, we have guest Johan Nagiria, who will be explaining how he sources, structures, and close big deals. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.